CNN labeled a terrorist. Yep, y'all are terrorists, lying to the fucking people. So you terrorizing us with some untruth. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. You, oh, yes. Oh, that's become a terrorist organization. What? What? That ain't making sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. And that's what it's all about. Making sense. Let me fit this room. the Woodland Hills neighborhood last Sunday are all in the U.S. illegally. ICE's acting director, Todd Lyons, tells Fox they are all Georgia nationals, two of whom were caught and released at the border after crossing illegally, and a third who overstayed a tourist visa, and listen to this, had two previous arrests with ICE detainers on him ignored due to sanctuary policy. They were still allowed to stay here in the U.S. and commit crimes. So you have three individuals from the nation of Georgia who didn't know each other, who have now met up in the sanctuary state of California and Los Angeles and killed an innocent person. So these elected officials, I say cheap on you. And data regarding DHS paying for in the meantime. Hearing about illegal aliens slaying American citizens. Right. Even old school Eddie Cole in here, not a shocker. It seems to be a recurring thing today. Y'all stay prayed up. Please go check out somebody today. Like they said what they like. Thank y'all. All the likes, comments, shares. Everything continues. So, this channel is going to go around and encouraging whatever. I'm hearing more. Not being able to get tuned into the notifications and things of that nature. So, my share goes along with how I usually don't ask and of that nature. But go check. Now I see why this is Wi-Fi camera is critical. At Gabone's presidential inauguration, one name sparked chaos. She wasn't there. She wasn't invited. But when his name was spoken, the crowd exploded. Not for the president, but for him.
Man, that's some bullshit, man. One thing before I get through.
Inauguration in Gabon was supposed to be a formality, a neatly packaged ceremony designed for cameras, not citizens. The kind of carefully choreographed performance where the real decision has already been made in vacuum, and the public is just invited to clap. The man taking the oath, General Bryce Oligui, stood calm and confident. Soldiers stood straight. Delegates wore silk. International observers quietly nodded approval. To the casual observer, everything was in order. But then came the moment that revealed what the polished stage could be. This wasn't just a celebration. It was a battle wearing a tuxedo. You see, Gabon was trying to sell an answer. One that says, we've had our military transition, now let's return to normal. With France on one side, the IMF on the other, and elections sanitized the water on the side. The goal was to prove that Gabon is not like Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger, that it's stable, cooperative, and predictable. But that illusion shattered the moment Ibrahim Traore's name was spoken. It didn't come from an opposition speech or a planned protest. It came quietly, almost innocently, from the lips of a youth speaker delivering remarks on African solidarity. A mention of our brothers in Burkina Faso and their fight for self-determination. And then Captain Ibrahim Traore. That was all it took. The reaction was immediate. The youth section of the crowd stirred, then erupted. Shouts echoed. Some started chanting his name, others clapped. A wave moved through the stands like a pulse.
Hey.
The cameras hesitated. Children looked. Ministers sitting in the front turned to glance nervously. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Traore wasn't the main character that day. But the crowd decided otherwise. What does this tell us? It tells us that the real story wasn't on stage. It was in the crowd.
Your story was on stage. It was being staged.
A shift back to polite politics.
Everything was being staged because, like you said, the real story wasn't on stage.
It was resistance. And Traore's name didn't spark that energy.
The real story wasn't on the stage. It was in the crowd.
The symbolic weight of that
On the stage, it was in the crowd.
He had no
It was in the crowd.
That's how powerful. That's power without strength. Influence without order. But they were bigger than anything. Because this crowd wasn't
On the stage.
they were rejecting.
On the stage.
They were rejecting the idea that Obama would always return to the orbit of France from the dust settled. That after every military takeoff, the final handshake must still be that liberation was always follow. They were rejecting. What was the ability for its equal chance to recognize and quiet, diplomatic, popular courage. Because the moment a name like Conway gets that kind of applause from a country like Gabon, it signals something far more dangerous than instability. It signals a split in reality. There's the official version, the one printed in press releases and spoken at air-conditioned summits. And then there's the real version, the one shouted by young men in the street, the one carried in whispers through marketplaces, the one that refuses to be translated into diplomatic language. That crowd told us something that day. What they told us was this: Gabon's inauguration wasn't a return to normal. It was a front line in a much larger war for Africa's soul. One side wears medals and carries French handshakes in their briefcases. The other side, they wear dust. They carry dreams. And they chant names like Conway, Castro, and that brings us to a deeper question. One that the cameras will never ask. Why is the man really more elected Gabon's president? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on
There you go.
civilization and identity. Let's continue now. There's a reason Ibrahim Traore's name doesn't hit softly. It doesn't echo politely like some diplomatic slogan. It hits like thunder, sharp.
Man, shut the fuck up, cause this God character ain't nothing but the fucking government. You start saying some real shit until you start saying some shit about some fucking God, some fucking father God character in the fucking sky, some fucking well. That's some dumbass shit. Wow. It's like you start making sense and then you go straight to fucking nonsense. All believers are fucking stupid. All believers are fucking liars. Man, it's your own stuff, because you don't have to. Sorry. A lot of jelly with no toast. It's gonna be alright, girlfriend.
Watching Mr. Cleo's explain this big ring that was captured in California and Texas. Texas.
that
coming out of
matters.
the sky.
Because it's people
And
courage,
it's not just tough, it's time for the
survival,
start too.
ministers so often because they're doing overboard defense.
This is
Presidents
crazy.
apologize
Are you
before they
kidding
go.
us?
But
From
Trump,
Texas?
he governs like he owes nothing to anyone but his
Sorry,
people. That energy ground. It explains why some think the gospel shout his name louder than their president. Because they're not cheering for his flag. They're cheering for a field. One they've been starved of for decades. Ownership. Ownership of land. Of decisions. Of the future. And here's the quiet.
Look that up.
No one says out loud. Ibrahim Traore doesn't have to leave your country to make you feel like a
Extreme
king.
copper
His
soil.
very existence makes
Well,
his
they
fears
do,
look like
but-
shadows, and shadows hate the light. This is why they fear him. This is why the West tries to ignore him or reduce him to headlines about military rule or populism. Because they know that his kind of popularity can't be bought, contained, or copied. It must be earned in fire. And every time his name is chanted in a country he doesn't govern,
Watch
another
these two
puppet
videos
president
and
fills his
explain.
chair
This
walking.
is a
Now the question becomes,
tamarind
what
is a
happens when a
very
president doesn't just
spiritual
erupt at the sound of one man's name,
tamarind is
but
great
starts
for
acting on what he
removing
stands for?
heavy metals
Because
and
Gabon's crowd
fluoride
didn't
out
just
of the
celebrate
body.
Traore,
And a lot of
they
people
exposed
are
hunger.
walking
They
around
exposed
and
hunger.
walking dead
And
to the
hunger
fact
always
that
spreads.
your pineal
Traore
gland,
didn't
the
need
first
to cross
eye,
the
the
border to
third
cause
eye,
trouble.
the
The
pineal
virus he
is
carries for
decalcified.
one of these
It
mere
is
motives
largely
isn't
because
biological.
of
It's
fluoride
ideological.
and heavy metals.
And like all powerful ideas, it spreads without permission. It used to be easy. Countries were boxed in. ECOWAS over here. Central African states over there. Each with their presidents, uniforms, and pretend sovereignty. But Traore and the alliance
So
of
if you
Sahel
want to
states
open up the
AES
third eye,
helped shape,
so I can see
smash those borders wide open. Not with armies, but with clarity, with language, with intent. And that's exactly what Gabon is beginning to feel. Because whether its leaders admit it or not, Gabon is already infected. Not by a coup, not by sanctions, but by doubt. The kind that grows slowly, then detonates overnight. You could hear it in the chants at the inauguration. You could feel it in the uneasy glances exchanged by politicians who named Traore in the crowd. And you can trace it in the shifting conversations happening across people middle markets, university dorms, and even military barracks. People are starting to ask questions they never dared ask before. Why are we still exporting oil and importing coffee? Why do we have facilities with no people? Why does France love oil but disappear when our ethers and coal, our streets flood, or our forests burn? These aren't
All
things
believers are liars and they can't handle the truth. The make-believe nonsense stops you from being you. Literally, the make-believe nonsense stops you from using common sense. The common sense that you're born with. The truth. We are not as stupid as we're being taught to be. And we're not fucking liars like we was taught to be liars. Once again, believing stops you from thinking. Literally. It's unbelievable once you realize the truth is believe is a lie all by itself. When you look in the middle of the word believe, there's no truth. There's only lie. Look for yourself so you can realize who's lying to who.
Now imagine that same population looking at that closed built national banks, refused grid protection, and exposed food laws, all followed by the government. Imagine how that feels to gather citizens still waiting to count the people in ceremony. The idea that Gallup can follow the Pentecostal path is fantasy. It's that. One spark, one sin, I can imagine it already. It used to be that military takeovers had to come. Now they get clapped for. If they serve them, they're for it. That's the age of test. Not just a line of test. Alliance by imagination. And imagination is vision. It redefines what's possible. Once you see That system was older, rusty, weaker. And the soldiers, don't forget it. Africa's modern military systems are being dictated by diplomats. They're being shaped by captains, colonels, and commanders tired of escorting presidents who sign contracts they don't understand in languages they don't speak. AES didn't happen in a boardroom. It happened in barracks. If Gabon's soldiers start feeling the way Burkina Faso's did, it won't be a question of if. It'll be a question of who next. So no, Gabon isn't AES, but it doesn't need to be, because the spirit is already inside. Now let's talk about the international impact Traore is making. They won't say it on camera, but behind closed doors, in NATO briefing rooms, and EU security meetings, one African name keeps showing up on classified reports, flagged, underlined, debated. Ibrahim Traore, not because of any missile launch, not because he cut the oil supply or hacked any system. No, it's much simpler than that. He's feared because he's real. Because in a world addicted to puppets and proxies, Traore doesn't answer the phone when Washington calls. He doesn't flatter the French. He doesn't negotiate his sovereignty with a bow tie and a checklist. And worst of all, he's popular for it. The crowd that erupted in Gabon didn't just send a message to African elites. They sent one straight into the heart of Europe's intelligence community. Your firewall is failing. Because let's not pretend that France, the US, or the EU see Africa as a continent of equals. They see it as a chessboard with natural resources, strategic position, and political assets to manage. Traore, he flipped the board. What's terrifying about him isn't that he leads Burkina Faso. It's that he's leading a narrative, and narratives can't be sanctioned.
Yeah.
You can cut off aid, you can smear a man's name on Reuters, you can cancel military deals, but you can't cancel a contagious idea. And this is what the Western military-industrial complex is quietly confronting. That Traore isn't a threat because of what he controls, but because of what he inspires. When youth in Gabon shout his name, it creates a problem that no drone strike can fix. It means they're thinking for themselves. It means they're comparing. And worse, they're choosing.
And it means that if you fucking kill him, they gonna get to see the real power of us all rising up against the elite assholes. We come and get y'all bitches. We come and get y'all bitches. We tired of this. We tired of y'all elite assholes doing what the fuck y'all won't do. That's why it's time for us to come and get y'all.
Policy analysts are scrambling to figure out how to contain the AES movement. Not militarily, at least not yet, but psychologically. The goal isn't to kill Traore. The goal is to kill what he represents. Discredit him. Call him a dictator. Say his junta threatens democracy. Spread rumors. Push narratives that associate him with instability. Highlight every
I can't do that there, buddy.
while ignoring the fact that those problems were inherited from decades of
Yep.
Western economic strangulation.
Yep.
And yet, it's not working. Because people aren't just listening to Traore. They're watching who hates him. Let's talk
Yep.
about tactics.
Yep.
There are already whispers of containment strategies. Pressure on neighboring governments to distance themselves from AES. Threats of trade wars. Secret promises of military gear in exchange for stability. Quiet funding of opposition groups. It's textbook. The kind of foreign interference the West never admits, but always deploys when a black man stands up without strings. Because here's the thing, it was never about coups. It was about control. The West never cared how power was taken, only who was served after the dust settled. If a military leader pledged loyalty to Paris or hosted Africa on bases, suddenly he was a transitional figure.
Hey, dude, I'm too real.
One like Traore
Makes
takes
sense
the
to
mountain
you
off
already.
the battle out here is fought with guns. Now he's a problem. A threat. But the truth is simpler. He's unmanageable. And the Western world doesn't know how to manage a continent that stopped asking for permission. The eruption in Gabon wasn't just normal. It was data. A spike on the intelligence radar. Proof that the Traore effect is working. That it's outgrowing borders, mutating, gaining speed. And the louder his name gets in foreign countries, the harder it becomes to erase. And they've tried. Shadow bans, dismissive headlines, strategic silence. But none of it works when his absence is louder than their presence. When a man doesn't attend an event, yet his name hijacks it. That's not politics anymore. That's mythology in real time. And mythology is dangerous because it gives the people something they haven't had in decades. Hope with teeth.
It is what it
So
is.
what's next?
The truth is the truth. It literally hurts the mind when you realize who's lying to who. The truth is the truth. It literally hurts the mind once you realize who's lying to who.
And now, it's everywhere. You think this is a sign that Africans everywhere will clean up like child rape? Let us know in the comment section. How do you think Africa's current leaders will react to this rising wave? Will they adapt or be swept away? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about. The black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.
Motorcycle mama to show her breast to your friends. The FIB has been tracking the Lost for years. We've jumped from coast to coast and have spent more time in the Midwest than a tornado spotter. When they're not running meth, they're smoking it.
Born a winner, one mind.
A dangerous new drug on the street
Literally.
called toilet cleaner. And believe me, your toilet will be clean
It's-
after you smoke some of it. Of course, Vinewood being Vinewood, it's not all about leathery dudes trying to show off on their motorbikes or roided up gangbangers stuck in some 90s time warp. This is the town that made mass murder into nostalgia. Of course, to become truly popular,
Mine.
your murder has to be both unsolved and gruesome. In a town full of alien spotters, adults dressed as zombies, and entertainers dressed as cartoon characters, it takes something particularly awful to really catch people's attention. The famous, unsolved murder of a Vinewood starlet is one such case. For years, horny nerds have wondered what happened to Leonora Johnson, and if they would have plucked up the courage to speak to her or kill her themselves. It's inspired filmmakers, writers, and copycat killers. Conspiracy theorists have blamed various celebrities, the mayor, the Soviets, short skirts, women's liberation, and hidden aliens embedded amongst us for the murder. But not all crime is premeditated. Maybe drinking's your thing. Look at this drunk.
Someone playing with your mind is really someone playing with the truth that's already ready waiting on you to tap back in.
Maybe you're just an overprivileged poppycock.
Literally to tap back in.
Pension and protesting about the unfairness of capitalism. Maybe stock market manipulation is your bag, or loan sharking, double identity theft,
Is you touching back
swinging.
to what you was born with,
On our next episode, I, Stephen Haynes, will show you
to what you was born with.
crime and low
Raw,
stakes,
create,
illegal street racing,
common sense
and vice. Yes,
is what it is.
sex.
Raw creativity.
Help took America on.
additional benefit that we have, and in moments of crisis like the one I was in.
It is what it is. Raw creativity. The creator within the creation. The creator within the creation. You're never alone. The truth is in you and me. It's just that we was taught wrong. It's just that we was taught to be liars. So I can say, all liars can say, all believers are liars.
As a United Healthcare member, I knew we had in a moment support available, so I reached out to them with that, and I am a
Not
specialist
supposed to
for
believe a motherfucking thing. Supposed to motherfucking know better. You're supposed to know how to motherfucking think. And you're supposed to be thinking 24 fucking 7. Not half fucking think. That's why you're supposed to always be thinking while you're thinking about what somebody's saying. Shit.
Cancel that gym membership because fat chips have all the
The
punches
West
you
is feeling
need.
the pinch.
Finally,
What's the
snack,
strategy
not
now?
healthy.
And which
We've taken
countries
the
have led
humble
this
deadly
movement?
potato chip and
Let's
taken
find
away
out.
a whole lot of fat and added a whole heap of fat. Confused?
Stop this here, very fast, because
Controlled exercise and diet
I'm
plan
everywhere with this here.
just